Chase, I want to start with Brock Purdy because ESPN did their rankings of like every position. And, it's, the NFL's king and they're trying to create, they're trying to, waste time and fill time between, last year and this year, which a lot of us have done this offseason. But Jeremy Fowler, the senior NFL national reporter for ESPN, put together his top 10 by position. And the Brock Purdy disrespect is just, to me, it's off the charts. If you don't want to give Brock Purdy his at this point, what are you doing? There's Patrick Mahomes. Is he in that category? No. There's Joe Burrow. Is he in that category? No, I don't think so. Is he Josh Allen? Well, Josh Allen's had some rough turnover games, but no, I would say Josh Allen, bigger talent, belongs higher ranked. Lamar Jackson's won an MVP. Despite the fact Lamar doesn't win in the playoffs and hasn't in his career, he still belongs in front of Purdy. And then you got Stafford, who's won a Super Bowl, and he's still doing it at a really high level. The Rams offense was really good last year. Okay, so now that's the top 5. So then here's where I would put Purdy right here. But then other people have Justin Herbert. And, Justin Herbert was the 6th pick overall, and he's 6'6" and 240. And, the guy's got passing yards. He's got more passing yards in the first 4 years than anybody in the history of the league. And, but he is sub 500. But he is the prototype physically. So I understand that one. I even understand CJ Stroud because he's coming off an amazing year. And he also physically is exactly what you're looking for. But then I guess I would draw a line and put Purdy here at number 8. But now they've got Aaron Rodgers of the Jets at 8. And then to me, where absolutely Purdy's got a case, is he okay? If you want to put him behind Rodgers because of lifetime achievement, okay, fine. But Brock Purdy's got to be in front of Jared Goff. He beat Jared Goff in the playoffs last year. Brock Purdy's got to be in front of Dak Prescott. He's beaten Dak Prescott multiple times.
Yep.
He can't be, honorable mention when you're 17-4, have already advanced to a Super Bowl, you're as efficient as any quarterback playing in the league today. You had a league-leading 72.8 QBR in your first full year as the starter. You do nothing but win and win and win. I don't know. I mean, to me, Purdy is above a guy like Jordan Love, and he is on this list too. But I think he's above Dak, and I think he's above. I think I'd have him 7. Really, I'd put him in front of Goff, in front of Dak, and in front of Rodgers, right behind Stroud. What do you think? I mean, what's a fair ranking for Brock?
I'm with you. So you look at that list, and I pretty much agree with the top 7. Maybe not in that order, but I can certainly see why coaches, executives, and scouts have the top 7 as such. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, and CJ Stroud, as you mentioned. On my show earlier this week, I looked at that 8, 9, 10 spot, and Aaron Rodgers didn't even play last year. He played a couple of snaps. So shouldn't this be, what have you done for me lately? And if it's a conversation of what have you done for me lately, Brock Purdy has to be a top 10 quarterback in this league. He has now excelled, and all of his numbers have been truly elite over the last year and a half since taking over for Jimmy Garoppolo. I know that Aaron Rodgers has a couple of MVPs under his belt, and before going to the Jets, he was still playing really good football in his latter career with the Green Bay Packers. But then you look at Jared Goff at number 9 and Dak Prescott at number 10, you make some great points. Brock Purdy came back from 17 points against Jared Goff in the NFC Championship game, and his metrics were top 5, top 10 in almost every major statistical category. People want to say that Brock Purdy is limited. Jared Goff is a limited quarterback. And then for Dak Prescott to be there at number 10, I think that playoff wins and playoff success should matter. Dak Prescott doesn't have as many wins as Brock Purdy, who's been a starter for the last year and a half. And in the head-to-head matchups, Purdy's been able to beat Dak. And I think that playoff level success has to be a factor in this conversation. I think for a lot of casual fans out there and for people who, like you and I, don't watch the Niners every single down, every single season, and then go back and look at the tape, Purdy doesn't really pop physically in this social media era in which everybody is looking for highlights to go viral. And while he makes all of these improvisational plays, which is such an underrated part of his game, everybody wants to say that his numbers are so good because of the great supporting weapons around him. But a lot of the quarterbacks on that list have had really good supporting casts. And what Purdy does in an elite way isn't what goes viral. You think about what makes him special, it's some of the same qualities that make some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time really special, from Joe Montana to Tom Brady, who weren't insane athletes with cannons for arms. And those traits are accuracy, anticipation, timing, processing, pocket feel, and then Purdy being able to bail the Niners out with awful pass protection as he was pressured on 40% of his throws last year by making these plays out of structure. Everybody wants to salivate over Kyler Murray doing that and Patrick Mahomes doing that. Brock Purdy's been able to do a lot of the same things in that manner. And last year, how do you not have him as a top 10 quarterback when he was third in passing touchdowns, when since the Christian McCaffrey trade, throw the ball at the 32nd rate in the NFL. He was number one in yards per attempt by a wide margin. Everybody wants to tell me he doesn't have a strong arm. He can't throw the deep ball.
Right.
Down Charlie. He was number one in deep ball completion rate last year at 55.3%. That requires accuracy, touch, and arm strength. When bullets were flying, his pressured completion percentage was fourth in the NFL. When the field gets condensed and the game starts to move a little bit faster, his red zone completion rate, 70.4%, number two. So that's making smart decisions, but also processing and being able to read the defense. I'm not done. His true passer rating, 113.4. It was number one in the NFL. His QBR, 72.7. Expected points added, 217.8. That's number one for the analytical nerds out there. His deep ball catchable rate, number one in the NFL at 61.7%. And we saw an evolution of Kyle Shanahan's offense with the vertical staple as part of it, which wasn't a part of this offense with Jimmy Garoppolo because he sucked at throwing the long ball. Brock Purdy flourishes in throwing the deep ball, and all of those numbers, the case, despite his receiver target separation being number 14 in the NFL. Now, I tweeted that graphic out. Purdy's agent actually messaged me this week and said, "Thanks for sticking up for Brock." I said, "Of course, because all I know how to do is to speak the truth." And from the time that Brock Purdy took over for Jimmy Garoppolo, I think that he's displayed special ability. He's been an elite quarterback in this league. And it's funny to go back and watch some clips of you and I kind of saying in preseason during his rookie year, Niners can't cut this guy. If they cut him, he's not going to pass through waivers because we saw some of the special elements that we see today.
The guy wins, man.
Yeah. And don't tell me that winning isn't a quarterback stat.
Yeah,
because winning is a quarterback stat.
Well, I mean, let's talk about it for a second. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but maybe, you got pretty good knowledge. We have pretty good knowledge. Brock Purdy has 4 playoff wins.
One
now,
loss
Mahomes,
pretty much, and it's the Chiefs Super Bowl because I don't knock them for the NFC title against Philly.
Right. Okay, now let's go through the top 10 quarterbacks. Who has more than 4 playoff wins of the top 10 guys? Mahomes, yes. He's got more than 4. Joe Burrow, does Joe Burrow have more than 4 playoff wins? I'd say
no. He has that one Super Bowl run, I think.
So maybe he's got 3 playoff wins.
Yeah,
it's probably not more than 4.
Lamar Jackson is 2 and 4 in the playoffs.
What about Josh Allen? Does Josh Allen have more than 4 playoff wins? I would say no.
Joe Burrow is 5 and 2 in his playoff.
Okay, Joe Burrow's got 5. Lamar Jackson definitely has less.
Josh Allen is 5 and 5 in his playoff career.
Josh Allen's got 1 more. Stafford,
not a lot of playoff football for him because he was playing in Detroit.
Yeah, I mean he did go to the Super Bowl and win it one year.
4 and 4, so equal wins.
He's got 4. He's got exactly 4. Herbert doesn't have 4 playoff wins.
He doesn't have 1.
C.J. Stroud doesn't have 4 playoff wins.
He has 1.
Does Aaron Rodgers have 4 playoff wins? I mean, he won the Super Bowl. So,
He's 12
but
and 10 in his playoff
okay,
career.
so he's got a lot. Okay, so Rodgers, but does Goff? does Dak? I mean,
Jared Goff has 5 playoff wins in his career. Dak Prescott is
all of these guys
2 and 5. He's 2 and 5.
So almost all of these guys are significantly older and have been in the league longer than Brock Purdy. And yet Brock Purdy's got more playoff wins than almost every quarterback in the top 10 in front of him. More playoff wins. The one thing I would push back on Brock Purdy is this line from an executive who said he's very good at navigating the pocket, buying time, using his legs. You're not going to win. And then he goes, you're not going to win because of him in most cases, a separate NFC exec said. He's a really good system quarterback. I mean, that to me is a guy who's not watching. You're not watching. If you think that the Niners are winning games and Brock Purdy's along for the ride and not leading them to these, like he's not the factor, that it's just like they would win these games anyway and he's just there. Nope. I can't go with you on that one. Do the Niners have a lot of good talent? Yeah, but they had a lot of good talent, when before Brock was there, and they were 9-29 quarterbacks not named Jimmy under Kyle. So, this guy definitely, for him to be honorable mention, seemed a little